welcome back to a brand new video. What color is he wearing?
Please exit through the rear door.
Alright. Now let's talk about these stage events.
Next stop, Church Avenue and Remsen Avenue. Transfers available to B17, B47, and B8.
Put your hand over your head, bro.
This stop is Church Avenue and Remsen Avenue.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Oh yeah. So first person that came off the bus beside me, wearing all black. I'll tell you guys what happened. So as you guys see the New York Predator Department, you know, they did their stage act, and the bus pulled into the bus stop at the gas station, and I saw the lights flashing. So of course, you know, like I talk about how they've been talking with the color red. Yeah, they've done this before. They said nothing new. Yeah, the sirens. Yeah, they have done this before. This is nothing new, right? Yeah, here they go. Yeah, the sirens. Yeah, about to expose their shit. So as the bus pulls out of the bus station, there's a guy wearing red. He's wearing a red shirt, and he puts his hands over his head. You know, like in the back of his head, both of his hands in the back of his head, right? Then there was a female cop, a female predator cop, sticks her fingers in her ears, okay? As the bus is passing by, he turns towards the street, right? And he puts his hand together, right? You know, like you, if you take your hands and you hold them together in front of you, right? And that's what he did. Right? So, you know, I stuck my fingers in my ears so they can see. And, you know, then the bus driver does the whole, you know, they like to do this where they put their hand, they take one of their hand, you know, and put it across their chest, right? Down their chest, their stomach, like, all right, look at where my hands is at, right? So they'll turn and they'll do that. Now you start to see a lot of color red. I've been showing you guys that all week. This is something that they do, right? How they will use color, called psychological warfare, and then try to use Pam and stuff like that. You know, they're very manipulative in what it is that they do, and I understand exactly what it is that they do. Yes, I understand, and I keep saying I understand exactly it is what they do, how they do it. And like I told them, my purpose is greater than theirs, and I'm going to expose it, no matter the outcome. But what's going to happen is, like I said, I will always win. And you want to know why I will always win? Because when you understand what it is that they do, how they're doing it, the lies, the manipulation, how they come after certain people, what it is that they do in the shadows, technology, psychological tactics and methods, covert warfare, covert drugging, right? Weaponizing women and men, right? Weaponizing every damn thing against us, right? Because this is what, when I talk about this system, how it exploits us in many different ways. You know, Negropeans, they can't see because, you know, they're Negropeans. They got a European mindset. They may look black like you and I, right? If you're a black TI, I mean, if you're a black person, right? Negropeans have a colonized mind still, and that colonized mind, they cannot identify with another black person or each other, but they identify more with white people. This is why when white people gentrify our community, you have a whole set of these Negropeans talking about, well, there's a Starbucks, and and because because they're still there in the community, that white people gentrify, they think that they're special. They feel special, right? They feel special. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you feel special because you're still in that community that white people try to gentrify, right? And somehow you gloat about that. You're a predator department, of course. You're a predator department. Here's another one. Yeah, fuck you too. Get the middle finger. Get the middle finger. You get the middle finger. That's right. You see, when I expose them and what it is that they do, then they'll come up with that nonsense. All right. You two, those try to copy strike my videos, copyright strike my videos, right? Because again, when they play music, they do it for a reason, right? Now remember, you didn't hear no music at all until the New York Predator Department drove by, and all of a sudden stop playing music, right? Stage psychological operations. This is how they divide us and put us against each other, but Negropeans love the game. When I talk about the sadistic mindset, the gang mindset, right? You see, they think that, when they talk about gangs in black communities, is these young people, with no sense of direction who, are led astray into joining gangs and stuff like that, but they don't understand the condition in which young people are in to make them join gangs. So when I talk about the system and what it does to us, see, we like to talk about the, look. I talk about how to use my son lookalikes. Look, another one. Another one. Right? We use it, again, these are psychological threats against my son. Now, how pussy you gotta be that you can't even, not only you attacking me, I have not done anything to you, but then you want to attack my children too? Like, come on, how pussy is that? That's what I said. I hope their children gets attacked too. Oh yeah, don't use your sirens now. See, it's okay for them to do it to our kids, or to have us do it to each other and our kids. But when you do it to them, when they attack you in those ways, and then you attack their children, their family member, their friends, what have you, you compromise them in a way that to abuse them and use them, they don't like it. I talk about the believer's mindset. See, religious people love to commit crimes and atrocities against other groups of people who doesn't subscribe to their religion, or who subscribe to their religion, but based on the ideology that God is favoring them more than the other Negropean Christians, they can justify doing whatever they're doing. They will always justify their evil. And what we do, what we the Negropeans do, is justify the toxic behavior that is conditioned within their mind, because that's what they do. I said something earlier today, and I thought to myself, that's very profound, right? Now, you may not find it to be profound, but I do. When I said, when you look at the mindset of Negropean females, no accountability, but want all the praises. And I said, they have the mindset of police officers and police departments. They want no accountability, but all of the praises. That's why they can violate your rights and don't want to be held accountable or responsible for that, right? But yet, you always see that when they kill an innocent person, or when they brutalize an innocent person, when they violate your rights, what do they do? They get awards, right? They get accommodation. They get awards for that. So the simple fact that they are rewarding bad behavior amongst predator cops, right? And I talk about the believer's mindset, and particularly black women are the largest, not the largest, but they are the largest believers in Christianity. Okay? And I talk about the believer's mindset when it comes to people in positions of authority. Right? So if you're not understanding these things, how they affect our psychology, how they condition us, because they know and we don't, right? It's something, like I said, that they will always continue to do to us. And you think, like I said, this don't stop with me. It didn't start with me, it won't stop with me. There have been people who they've been doing this to since the late 1980s, when they started with the microwave, the remote, what's it called, a silent sound, spectrum. Right? We see this. They've been documented. There've been people who lost their job trying to get our government to investigate what's going on. Right? And they themselves have been targeted. Today I posted some videos of police officers engaging in crime. And then I posted a video. I actually ended up buying the audiobook. It was a black police officer here in New York. The book is called excuse me. Shoot, I forgot the name of it. I know my short-term memory has been pretty bad because, again, remote monitoring, and I put stuff down. I'm beginning to forget where I put it again. So, it is what it is. All right, it's nothing I can do. I just know that I know the reason why it's happening, and so But anyway, I ended up purchasing the book. I was watching him do an interview. Look, New York Police Department. They're very active tonight. Very, very active tonight. Look at them. Very, very active tonight. They're emboldened. Was it 69-22? Very emboldened. All right. But anyhow, I end up purchasing the audiobook, right? And you're watching the interview, and like I said, when you have good police officers, right, who blow the whistle on the NYPD, New York Police Department, and their corruption, and what he said, they threw a police officer in the mental asylum, calling him crazy, because he exposed the corruption amongst the higher ranks in the New York Police Department. So there isn't anything that they wouldn't do, even to their very own, to their own. Like I said, my brother said they don't want good cops. They don't want good police officers. They want predators, right? They are predatory. But yet they want you and I, and to believe that we and each other are predators. No, we're not. They're the predators, right? Then they want to talk about, like they always try to play this thing where, to try to give you a negative, bad narrative or a bad image. And, early on in my targeting, they were like, well, you a dog. I was like, really? I'm a dog? How's that? Right? And then I posted I'm tired of posting these stories of the New York Police Department and their predator officers, of them cheating on their wives, sleeping with prostitutes. Right? But I'm a dog. Right? And I always say, more women cheat more than men. Right? But it's just that men are more honest with admitting it, where women are not. As I said, men are more honest. Use the sirens. Right? See, they don't want you to be honest. And I've always been honest with the women that I've dated. Okay? I've always been honest with them in terms of where we stand in our relationship or whatever it is that we were involved in. Right? I'd never let a woman to believe that we're together in a relationship if I didn't ask her. And no woman should ever believe that you're in a relationship with any man if he did not ask you, if he did not claim you. Like I said, there's a reason why they deleted my Facebook page, because your social media post tells a lot about who you are. Right? So they cannot create this false narrative, because that's what it is. It's a lie. It's a false narrative. Right? So they had to delete my Facebook page because when they want to do what they want to do and people start looking, right, there will be nothing that they can go to show that what they're saying is a lie, it's a false narrative. You see, but there's a lot I can go to show who they are, that they are predators, that they are criminals. When they want to talk about, oh, I hate black women, go look at my page, right? Well, it's not there anymore, but I support black women. I'm always posting about black women. What you won't see me do is post videos and pictures of black women twerking and showing their ass out. But I post pictures and videos of black women doing amazing things. Black women in science, black women who are social justice warriors, right? I post pictures of black family, black men and women together. Beautiful black women wearing their natural hair, right? I post pictures of the most beautiful, deep black, blue hue you can find on a human being, right? Because they can't get me to hate my people. I may dislike them for what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? But they can't get me to hate my people enough to where they can use them against me and I'll turn my back on my people and be a gatekeeper. That will never happen. I understand how they groom you. I understand how they groom you to hate your people. I understand how they groom you to try to get you to get involved in alternative sexual lifestyle, particularly for our women. Right? Because our women, you look at the trend among black women, particularly between 30 and 60. Right? When you hear these women talking about, oh, well, we should date each other, single mothers and this and that, where are they getting that from? Right? Where are they getting that from? And they're so proud of it that they're on social media talking about it, right? They're on social media actually, you know, on these shows saying, oh, this is what we should do. No. How about you do some self-work? How about you do some introspective work? How about you do some work to understand that the decision that you made, that you cannot just say, well, okay, it's the black man's fault. Like I said, I don't blame us for 80% of the shit that we do, because we're conditioned to be a certain type of people, right? Listen, like I said, I held myself responsible. I didn't want to have kids. I wasn't ready, but I had sex without a condom, and she got pregnant. But guess what? I was, you know, as with any young man who, you know, was not ready. It happens, and you know, you go through that motion because, you know, you're not listening to me. But, you know, particularly, like I said, my very first fiance that I ever had, when I told her that, you know, what did she do? Birth control. Birth control. Well, things didn't work out, but, you know, we're young. You know, a lot happened. I wasn't too emotionally ready for what she did, and, you know, yes, the relationship didn't work out, right? But at least she listened. At least she listened. And I keep telling these women all the time, you stop blaming the men, right? Stop blaming the men. Right? Accept your responsibility too. If a man is saying that, listen, I'm not ready for a child, and you don't want to have a child, you always talk about, you know, women's right and this and that. You have more options for birth control than men do, right? You got more options for birth control than men do. Okay? But understand this. Most brothers like me, they step up. They step up, whether they're ready or not. They step up. And that's most of my brothers. And I'm so proud of my brothers. But our women's minds are so conditioned with a self-hate, right? With a mindset of always wanting to be excited and have fun, and, you know, whatever is trendy, they're jumping on it. You know, like having children. Having children is not trendy. Having children is a big responsibility. It's not trendy, right? Children are not accessories. You have children, they're not accessories. You don't have them just to have them. And that's the issue. Is that a lot of our women are having children not because out of love, but because it's trendy. that's a human being you're creating. You know what I'm saying? And so you can never love a child properly if you're having them under that condition. This is why young people today are suffering, because they don't want to accept the responsibility. They do what they have to do, yes, but they don't want to accept that responsibility. It is something that they don't want to do, but they have to do it. See, I love being a father. Yeah, man. Drop the napkin on the floor. Tell you the shit that they do. What's up, my brother? Hey, you look familiar, my brother. No, you look like somebody like you have a face that look like somebody that you know. Your face is familiar, but like that.
This stop is Renton Avenue and Linden Boulevard.
Sure, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah.